Forgot, our hot dog has spoken. The DPS is going to be there with a presentation of their proposal for road repair in Grosse Ile, and they're anxiously awaiting it. Of course, we have entertainment. One of our greatest troubadours on Grosse Ile, who was there last year, he's going to play again. Barry Van England's going to give us free entertainment. There's a lot of things happening that day. Recreation will have a big part in it because they're contributing some of the tables and chairs, and the only thing that I'm missing at this point is a barbecue grill, and I think we'll find it. Yeah. As for the rest of the report, those of you who have been anywhere around the bike paths have seen great work done on the bridges now. Bridge over the Thoroughfare Canal has had some major repairs, and we're working. Sir?
What's the cost? What is
Somewhere around $40,000. Sir, come to the meetings and you'll get an explanation of why it was a bargain. We have it. Spend 40 now or spend 700,000 to replace that thoroughfare bridge. That's what it would cost. That's the one I'm talking about. Replace that bridge is estimated to be $700,000. No, I'm kidding about all of it, Woody.
No,
about the costs, about the repairs, you know.
How old?
20 years.
Oh.
At any rate,
$40,000 to rehab it.
that bridge plus the other two. Total cost of repairs. When they're done, they will be refinished again with a nice brown tone, not a black, but a brown stain, and they ought to look good for a few years. We're gonna redouble our efforts to take better care of those bridges because some of what's happened to them is because we didn't give them enough care right now. That affects some of the wood on the Thoroughfare Bridge by Meridian School has got some severe deterioration in it. A lot of the money will go into that. But they're all getting pressure washed, and they'll all be repaired and in good shape come. I hope to have the start of repairs to the asphalt in our bike path system, and I've asked specifically whatever is done, stay away from Meridian and Macomb on the 22nd of August. I'm trying to think. DPS is in there, Rex in there, we're in there. Bike path. Bike path will have a presentation there also. So a lot of things going on, and all coming to play in one day.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much. The next item, Bert Urbani was called away with an emergency. She can't be here tonight. So we'll skip over to Recreation. Leah, what's happening with the rec department?
I'm just trying to get the report short. Am I on?
Yes.
Okay. First of all,
You got to talk right into the mic. There you go.
First of all, I want to apologize for forgetting the last meeting. It was clearly on my schedule, and I just forgot it. But thank you for the minutes, because I used them to make the report for the community rec. So I appreciate that, Kay. Thank you. I want to compliment you on behalf of the community rec for the mulching around the playscape and on that trail. That's been very positively received. It was reported that Ann Hayner had been down there just before she came to the meeting, and there were some high school kids who have been the bane of that park for a long time. We're down there chatting and talking about it. Chatting there, doing what teenagers do in the summer. And Anne introduced herself and was talking with them, and one of the young ladies had been one of the kids who volunteered to help do it. So, it proves what I've always said, that if you involve people, then they have respect and commitment to it. The channel's deadline for all articles was today, so I'm sorry that I hope that if you had one, you got it in. Well, I think if you got it there by tomorrow.
Is that for fall?
Yeah, for the fall, winter.
Oh, we don't have ours even started, do we?
Pardon?
If we were going to put something in that, we haven't even started it, have we?
Give Boyd a call, Bonnie. I'm sure she, if you got there by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, you're not going to do anything between midnight and 8, I don't think.
I don't think I am either.
We recommended we had a contest to name the road end park at the Parkway, and the winning suggestion that will go to the board for approval is Sunrise Park. And there were 2 people who put that in. Emily Walsh was one, and Ethel Yaps was another. Emily Wash, I think I said Walsh, but it was. And the kayak launch, I know people are interested in the kayak launch. The RFBPs, the request for proposals for the launch were sent. The shoreline and installation work should begin like next week on that. And then, of course, the tragic fire at our equipment barn at Water's Edge is still under investigation and still confusing in terms of how the fire started and what that means and the insurance and the investigations. And we are asking various golf lawnmower people to come and demonstrate to get us through the summer. Every golf course has got theirs to be used up to the... And we're replacing tools and such that were stored in there as the need comes up. And so once the insurance comes in, it'll be taken care of. But that's been kind of complicated. I don't think... Oh, and then the other thing I wanted to mention was the Inside Out side from the Detroit Institute of Arts. They are installed, and they had tours this weekend. By they, I mean the Grosdale Art Auxiliary, and they plan to do more. But if anybody is interested in having a tour, they just need to contact the board office, Carol Knapp, and she'll contact me, or they can go directly to the Detroit Institute of Arts and ask for a tour.
Thank you. Beautification, we don't have a representative from that committee, so we'll proceed on to the trail updates. As far as the Manchester Trail is concerned, I met with Dale Ream, and we selected 5 potential companies to upgrade and do the maintenance work on that trail. I sent invitations to quote. I called the 5 personally, told them that a quotation that we are interested in receiving quotes for that trail. 3 of them responded with an interest to do the job. 2 people actually made arrangements with me to tour the trails, and I have received, as of this date, 1 quotation. The other person indicated an interest, but after 3 phone calls, I have not been able to contact him with a date that he can come out and walk the trail with me. 2 people never responded, so I'm going to write them off the list. And quite frankly, I'm waiting until the end of this week before I would like to make a decision as to how many have quoted, so that we can sit down in the next session and review the quotes and then recommend to the township board the person that we have selected to do this work. By the way, we have gone out again after our initial walkthrough and more clearly identified the trail locations, so it's easier for a potential vendor or tree cutter to go in and do the work that needs to be done. I'm looking for beginning the work no later, provided we can get approval from the township, to start work in September, and so to be finished by mid-fall if necessary, so we can be ready, have that trail completely ready for next season. And I want to thank again Mitch Lewis and his mother, Christina, who walked the trail with me so that we could more clearly identify it. So that's where we stand on the Manchester Trail.
Cliff, just if I can interject something. The forestry volunteers and I were on that trail today, and many of the trees on the trail area are actually red oak, and they wanted us to be very cautious that we do not accidentally scrape the tree or damage it, because that will make it susceptible to the red oak wilt.
Okay. Have they been identified?
We have put little blue dots on the red oak trees.
All right.
And we put the dots within your vision at eye level, not my eye level, but like your eye level. And if you look at all those blue dots, you should know enough what these things look like that you can then go as deep into the forest as you want and pick out other ones.
Okay. Very
But
good.
like we marked 40 trees at Centennial Farm, almost 35 trees at the Playscape. We put about 40 dots on each trail.
Okay. Well, when we select a select a company to do the work for us, I'll make it certainly that they avoid damaging or touching those trees.
Because when we were on the wildlife sanctuary, one of the red oaks on the trail had very obviously been hit by something. And I think it was probably hit by a truck or something going on the trail.
Okay, we'll make sure that
Okay.
that the tree companies are aware of that situation. Any other questions? If not, move along to the wildlife sanctuary. Pat?
The wildlife sanctuary, the new signs came in. Here's the bill. We'll be going back in probably within the next month to put up more signs identifying the trees. We have completed and launched the video, A Walk in the Woods, and I invite anyone who after the meeting wants to stay and watch the 12-minute video to please do so. We have been linked to the Michigan Forestry Group, so anyone going onto their website can link in and see this video. They were quite happy with it. I want to congratulate Ted and his group. They were a joy to work with, and we all learned a lot. I got poison ivy, but I hope you like it.
Poison ivy or the film? Is that the poison ivy or the film?
Both.
Well, I watched it.
Oh, did you?
It is very surprising. It's refreshing.
Yeah.
All right.
I thought it.
And the only thing that I found about it that really troubled me a little bit. Did you hear the airplanes above you?
Well, and the dog barking. Yeah.
A dog is doesn't bother
Well,
me.
this was an adventure because simple things like, should we just tape the actual sounds that you hear in the woods, which was our intent, because that's what you're going to hear on it.
Don't take it as a criticism.
Yeah,
It's
I was
here we are in a modern
reluctant
world.
to get like a tape from the archives or anything, because I knew with the astute township people, they would say, that bird is not in that area. So I wanted to make sure it was authentic. So yes. And did you hear the dog too? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
Didn't bother me.
It didn't bother me because that's what I hear
And
when
actually,
I'm on it.
the planes coming over didn't bother me either, because when you think about it, here's all of this modern man racket, and you're in a beautiful forest listening to
Yep.
it. So
We're going to get better on some of the jerkiness, but we will improve on some of the technical stuff. But for our first adventure,
Ted Fournier's group is showing its stuff now. All right,
Oh, yeah, and they're getting some special equipment for me so when I do a winter walk in
Stuff
the
is
woods.
good.
Yeah. Good group. Fun to work with.
Okay, thank you very much, Pat. Anything else?
Not until we get down to the oak wilt.
Sure, okay. Daryl, give us an update on the Centennial Farm Trail.
On the Centennial Farm, we should move the sign that is right in the middle of the pathway there. You know, I am, and Cliff worked his heart out we spent 2 days, and not in a row, but consecutively, and we moved the mulch. We had 2 great big loads of mulch, double loads of mulch, and we spread it over the little areas on the trail. The trail is really turning out beautiful. It's wide enough for emergency vehicles to get through. And we went all the way down into the trail. We took some trees that were across the path, and we moved those. And right at the end of the path, there was a big hole. I mean, it was really deep, and it was like a pond there. And we did dump a load of dirt in there. But we had a couple people come through with their dogs, walking their dogs, and Cliff suggested to them that they bring some clippers along to kind of, clear the trail a little bit, cut the branches and they're in your face, and the man agreed that he would. And we may get them onto open space, right, Cliff? So, but we leveled out quite a few areas there, and I couldn't believe all the work that Cliff did.
I stood and watched most of the time.
No,
while
he was actually doing all the work,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was impressive. I was really impressed.
Did you
When
see
did
it
you go
after?
through
We went on every trail today.
No, but when
What
did you go
time
through
did you
this?
go?
Yeah, but when?
Well,
What time?
I called Pat when we were on it. 2:30?
I was looking. I didn't see any red dots though on the trees.
Blue.
Oh, blue dots.
It was after we left at 1 o'clock.
Pat said the 2 of you were at
Oh.
Daryl's house.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, and I said probably having you-know-what,
Yeah, okay.
G&T.
What time was that?
Around 2:30, I think.
Okay, because I think we finished up down there about 1:30.
Yeah.
Somebody over the period, and I forget who it is, has really kept that trail up in terms of mowing. So it's during the high spots are in very good shape, and we
Oh,
avoided putting any chips in that area. But the low spots,
Now,
You wouldn't believe the grass. The grass
but it
will
looks
grow
great
through
now.
those.
The forestry people identified an invasive rose bush that's growing up on one of the trees, and they wondered what our policy is about removing invasive foliage plants.
well, if we can, we will.
Now, me, I would look at a wild rose and say, keep it. But,
Yeah, let it grow.
but
let it grow.
it's killing the tree it's on.
Oh, okay. Well, then it should be. Did they mark it in any way, shape, or
It's
form?
in my head.
I couldn't tell a rose from a dandelion. To
Yeah,
tell you
I
the
think I
truth.
can find it.
Okay.
Well, right at the front there,
It's on the right-hand side as
Yeah.
you go down.
but
the
right at
road.
the front there were bushes and things.
Oh, this
that-
is in
yeah, but
past the first spur.
right at the front, I ran over these twigs and everything that somebody had just left the brush there. And once we remove that sign, we'll be able to back in there with the mulch instead of destroying the lawn, on the Centennial Farm part.
And then on the first spur on the left, there's a tree over that you have to duck under. Is that part of the fun experience, or are we
The tree is
gonna
leaning
move it?
across the path.
Yeah, it's low. You got to duck.
We're going to remove it. There's also a tree, I don't know whether you saw it or not, about maybe 2/3 of the way back, that's leading at about a 60-degree angle over the trail, and it's high up. But it's dead, and it's leaning. So I'm going to call TNT and have them remove it.
Yeah.
God forbid if that falls while somebody's underneath it.
True.
So we're going to take care of that.
But I was amazed. It's awesome.
It's a beautiful trail.
And the playscape blew my mind, all the work you've done on it.
Well, we have to thank two groups on it. I was coming to that, but it's... Okay, so is there... But we're going to do... I think you're going to do some more work on that trail, Darrell, aren't you?
Right.
Maybe this fall, put some more mulch way in the back, you know.
Okay.
So.
You know, if they can, we've got a very good truck driver. He can back in there once we give him the clearance. You know, we have to show him where to dump the mulch.
We don't want to dump it where we have in the past. We want to dump it
you want to...
right on the trail, so we don't have
we
to
want him.
Right.
go back a quarter of a mile, right?
Yeah, we want him to back right in there. And this driver, he's a young boy. He's very good, and he'll put it exactly where we want it. All we have to do is put the cones there, you know. And
Okay.
we've got some extra cones, don't we? I think I've got some at my house
Or
that
maybe
we
the
could
township
use.
has some.
Yeah,
Anything else, Darrell?
I think we're pretty well set on.
Okay. Okay, as far as the playscape is concerned, the people who did that were the Weebles, and there was a group from Sacred Heart Church, and there was another group that... What was the other group that
Lutheran
did it?
Church.
Pardon?
Lutheran Church.
St. Thomas Lutheran,
No, it
No?
didn't. No, not the playscape.
not the playscape.
It was the Weebles
Weebles?
and Sacred Heart Church youth group.
Yeah.
Did it. Yeah.
Okay.
So that did it, and people have been pleased. So it's working out quite well. As far as public comments is concerned, since there's nobody here, we can bypass this. But Woody, with regard to the wood cutting activities, are we going to should we suspend that beyond August?
Suspend it for a while.
I would recommend through September at least.
Not semis, two overs
Okay.
full of blanks.
Great. Now, as far as you did mention the dump the junk, it looks like we got a couple of months yet, but we're looking for what? October, Woody?
Yeah, October 10th or 11th, or 17th or the 18th, one of the 2 weeks.
Okay, great.
We should pick it today.
Yeah, so we can make sure that what's going on in the community calendar too.
Can we have the can we have the brush and
No.
wood put in a pile and then have them come in and shred it later instead of buying those, you know, paying for those or renting those trailers?
What?
Can we set everything in a pile, you know, and have the wood shredded?
Who's going to shred it?
Well, we can get somebody, TNT could come in and shred it
After the event?
after the event, yeah. When there's nobody there, no people there. I mean, I think it's silly to rent those containers, pay money for them when we can just have that brush shredded
Cost of a
after.
container compared to the cost of a shredder is minuscule.
Well, we have to bid it. See
You
how
have to
much
what?
we have to put it out for bid and see how much they'll charge to do it.
And let me go on record and say I do not think it's a good idea to let people take wood out of a dumpster and
The
cut
brush
it up
I'm talking
because
about.
of the possibility of them getting injured on nails or other foreign objects that people dump in with that
I'm talking about yard waste and that.
yard
You
waste.
know, the limbs and stuff that.
I
The
would-
planks are different.
What the hell out of it?
The planks are different. But
He says no planks.
the dead tree limbs and like that, there's no sense taking up all that room in a dumpster.
What would we do with the
limbs.
mulch?
Well,
Have it hauled?
sure, they can mulch it up and put it in the back of the truck. I mean, haul it any place. Well, what comes with the mulcher is a truck, and all the mulch goes in the truck.
How much do we, I think that what we have to do, we can talk about this for a while, but I think we have to do, how much does it cost to rent a dumpster for the weekend? Whatever it costs.
I pay $125 a month for dumpsters. Special 40
The
hour.
trailers.
Not trailers, dumpster boxes.
I think we spend about, it's close to $3,000 each
11 or 12 of them.
for 11 or 12.
Why don't you let me talk to Waste Management and see what we can do?
Okay. Then we should talk to
So we can
event.
pick a date, or you're gonna,
You want to pick a date? Pick a date.
Yeah, I wanna pick a date, I wanna get it over.
Okay, what date would you want to pick?
The 10th, or the 11th of October, or the 7th.
Okay, those are the 4 dates.
Well, it's
And-
only 2 dates.
2 dates, and then we'll check the township calendar, see that there's nothing conflicting, and then we'll just select a date with the least conflict.
Next week.
Yes,
Okay, fine.
okay? Is that time enough? In
That's
September?
fine.
Yeah.
I just don't wanna be,
No, it's either the 10th, the week of the 10th, or the week of the 17th.
right.
Okay.
That on the air was hot.
Okay, the next item is the forestry trailer, and I think we should talk about that for a few minutes and see exactly what needs to be done in order to firm the. First of all, is there a general consensus that we do definitely want that trailer here? And I think, from my personal opinion, the answer to that is yes. The trailer should be
I
here.
agree.
And what I believe, I talked to Dale afterwards. Wally, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's 2 things. Either we can get one of our trucks that has an electric brake system and retain one of our people to go get the trailer, or else we'll have to hire somebody from the outside to bring that trailer in and take it back.
That's correct.
So once we find that out, then we'll go ahead and do it. I don't know how much it would, if it's, we don't know at this point in time how much it would cost for an outside person to come in as bonded to go and get his truck, haul it in, and then haul it back.
Well, you've got an October 4th to date. You got an October 22nd event.
No, we're talking September 22nd now. Yeah.
Talking about August, my
Yes.
mistake.
So we have
August
to,
4th today, and we're talking about an event for the 22nd. We don't have time for much fooling around. Dale's gonna give us a yes or no if we have a vehicle that can handle electric brakes. Those are brakes for the trailer.
correct.
And if we do have that, we will bring the trailer back. And we'll set it up in the parking lot in front of the police department, because that's the only place available.
And if we don't have one, Dale will go out and contract with somebody that has electric brakes on his
Correct.
truck,
That's
and that's what we're going to do. Matter's closed, so that's,
And who's coordinating that?
Dale, at this point.
Dale will do that.
Okay, Dale is doing all this?
Yep.
We're going to have the trailer, and it's just a matter of which one is the, hopefully, we do have one with electric brakes. If not, we'll hire an outside company to come in and take care of that for
We should
us.
all fall into place by the first of the week.
Yeah, so,
Yep. And any time from August 10th on, it can be picked up. And Dale said that if we get it that early, he would park it in a secure place like the DPS lot.
now the trailer is 13 feet wide, but that's the expanded width. It's 8 feet wide.
It's like a big,
Expando on motor homes, right?
right.
Okay,
You enter one end and you come out the other end.
okay.
They're going to have, for sure, 2 volunteers working it, possibly 3.
They're
They're bringing their own volunteers to run the displays and everything.
Oh, that's great.
The
Yep.
only
Okay.
difficulty is getting it here.
Yep, that's
We
the
don't
only
have the
problem.
funds, that's what Pat said last meeting.
So we're going to do it. Okay, it's either one way or the other.
Good,
Looks like it.
good.
Okay. Friends of Open Spaces, Bert's not here. She was going to have some ideas on that issue. I do know that Darrell mentioned that we had 2 people walk the trails, and we asked them to submit their names to the township board, to the township to fill an application. And we can use those people as friends of open spaces until there's an opening on the open space committee, and they will be considered as members when and if an opening occurs. But in the meantime, that can be another source for getting more volunteers to help us with our projects. Are there any other items you want to discuss? And I'll start off on my
The
left.
oak quilt.
Oh, well,
Number 3.
I am so sorry. I forgot about that. Go ahead, Pat.
Okay. We had Lisa Parker and Bill, I'm drawing a blank now, Mott, M-O-T-T, come down today, and we walked all of the trails. We marked in a blue circle, eye level, the ones that we can see from the trail. And our thought was that, one, we marked enough of them so that after seeing all those, you should be able to walk off the trail and find more. We found one tree at the sanctuary that is dubious. I have a sample of the bark, and I know which tree to keep monitoring. When we find a tree that's suspicious, and I'm going to write all this down so that I don't forget any of it, but one of the things is, like when you see a cracked bark, it was very easy to take a piece off. And if you take a piece off and you smell it, it will smell like juicy fruit gum. So that's one of your very easy indicators to know that it's starting in there. So the one tree on the sanctuary is dead. The bark smelled all right, but they couldn't determine why it was dead, and there is a circle of red oaks around it. And up until 2 years after that tree dies, it can infect other trees. So we've been advised to monitor that tree for the next 2 years.
Is there anything that can be done to prevent spread of this infestation?
There
Once it
is
started to eliminate
there
it?
is a chemical that is very expensive, very toxic, and the forestry people do not like to use it. What they recommend is that for the next 2 weeks through September, we have somebody walk the trails and just look for the leaves that fall. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this one the way they told me that it will look if it's infected and take a picture of it.
Okay.
And then take a picture of the bark, and we'll have like a sheet to give volunteers and ourselves, trying to get people to walk the woods and look for this. And if they find it, then we'll come in and check it out, and then I can call the forestry people, and they'll come down and verify it, and then take it from there. So the plan is, one, they've been marked. Two, to get people for the 2 weeks from now, every 2 weeks through September, to monitor the red oaks that we see, and to monitor this specific one, and then there's one in the Manchester area that we have to monitor because it's dead and it's suspicious. But that's what we found. Primarily what they said was the way we've been managing the forest to let it go to its natural state, which is a very good way to do it. What is happening is we are getting red oak forest because with the deer and the critters we have in there, any of the hickory trees, the nuts fall down, they get eaten. And the other little trees that come up, the deer and the critters eat. And what's surviving the most now are the red oak.
Couple of questions. Is there, would this condition exist on people's private property as well?
Yes, yes. And so we've already, posted the booklet, how to find it. We can put out another posting for people to check their own yards and see if they have it. And especially if we find any in the open space, to let all the homeowners know that it has been spotted. And the forestry people thought we had a very positive plan in action to it stopped, to stay on top of it by having them marked and by having people walk every 2 weeks and check it. Even if each one of us take the trail that we have, if we can't get other volunteers to do that every 2 weeks through September, that we should be good. Now, I had gotten the signs to put on the red oak trees. I wasn't planning on spraying them. They were afraid that because this is such the high peak that it can come out, they didn't want to put any holes in the trees, which is why we just painted it. And I do want to say something that really impressed the volunteer forestry people. We were in the Manchester woods. This young man, he must have been 16 or 17. He saw us doing the trees, and he came up and said, "You have permission to be doing that?" Looked down, he says, "This is very special to me, this trail. I don't want anybody ruining it." I mean, they couldn't believe it. So we told him what we were doing, and he is going to help us monitor that, and he's going to have his friends help us monitor the Manchester Trail. Unfortunately, I didn't get his name.
Any marks about the improvements we're going to make to that trail? Or?
He was very positive about it, and he was happy that we were going to protect the trees and the trail. So that made us all feel really good. They were impressed. In fact, they were very impressed with Grosio. One of the forestry people would like to move here. She said, "This place I could live at." So.
Just a comment. The explanation that you just went through is not on TV. And might I suggest, and take advantage of your good nature, Pat, if either making arrangements with Ted and or the township board, if you could make the similar presentation, Rocio TV, so it gets out to everybody. And could we do that at the township board meeting? Would that be inappropriate to do that, Wally? Make a presentation about the oak wilt situation?
I don't think that there's anything inappropriate on it as long as it's done, in a reasonable way.
Yeah, okay.
I would just like to add, and number one, this lady is a stormtrooper when it comes to taking care of business on trees. Thank you. I mean, you have really shown your stuff, Pat, and you deserve all of the adulation I could give to you in words. I really mean that. You did
thank
a
you.
solid job on this.
That's only because I love them.
I know you do, and it shows. But my comment is that as I'm sitting here, I'm reading a July 15th, 2015 press release from Michigan DNR. And I'm going to try to get that to Ted also so that it could be used in some sort of shape to share with our residents. Now, if you've ever seen some of these presentations on GITV, they got 3-point type, and you got to sit on top of the television and read it. So this long presentation doesn't exactly do the job. But I thought I'd read some of this just to you because it's July 15th, and that's 2 weeks ago.
I think Pat talking on Grosse Ile TV will probably get people's attention more than anything
This is
else.
a picture of the blue.
Oh, yeah.
It says July 15, 2015, help prevent the spread of oak wilt, don't move firewood. Today marks the end of the 3-month window when oak wilt can be transmitted from diseased to healthy red oak trees. Although this time frame is coming to a close, the Michigan Department of Natural Resources reminds residents not to move wood from trees with oak wilt. Wood from oak wilt-killed trees can produce spores which can infect healthy oaks if the infected trees are wounded between next year, April 15th, and July 15th. So the wood that we move this fall, if somebody puts it down next to a healthy tree with a scratch in it, as you remarked, you've given the spores an opportunity to get in because they're living inside of the dead wood. Normal time-tested advice is to prevent oak wilt by not pruning or otherwise injuring oaks from April 15th to July 15th. So there's a lot of information in this press release. I'll share it with you, and let's see, maybe we can make that presentation happen.
Okay.
Right?
Now,
You'd be good 5 minutes talking about this. You really would. You'd be
if
surprised how much you can get out in 5 minutes, too.
if our contractor that we select goes in and would be instructed not to disturb any living trees, all right, not to scratch the oak trees, well, that should prevent issues as a result of the work that any contractor might do on the Manchester Trail. Am I correct? So we're going to have to make it very clear to him that he is to stay away from oak. Don't damage any standing trees, period. All right? Number 2, make sure you stay away from any tree that's marked with a blue paint. We will make him aware of that.
There is
By the
one
way, pin oaks can get it also.
Phoenix soaking red. The nice thing that people can do if they have a wood pile in their yard and they're not sure of its origins is to simply wrap that entire wood pile up in a good tarp, one of these plastic tarps,
Yeah?
and the heat from the sun will build a furnace and cook the spores and kill them.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's a good thing to know. Well, what do you think about?
We don't have a newspaper to put it in anymore, so
I know. Are we going to be picked up by the News Herald?
We're going to be picked
You know,
up.
as much as I complained about our EO camera, I read it from top to bottom. I miss it.
There is a man that is going to take over the paper, and it'll probably be in 3 or 4 weeks. I don't know what his name is, but yeah, it's going to come out again.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's good. But to my original question, if we could go on Grosse Ile TV to get the word out, or at a township board meeting, I think it's something we should consider. You know, get people aware of this situation, because right now, the people that are aware of it are the people in this room.
let's not limit ourselves. Let Pat use her creative juices and
That's what I'm
make
saying.
that presentation, and then you can make it to the township board. It could be televised while you're making it there, and we could probably spool it into a presentation just like you did a walk through the forest.
Okay.
Just think you could be a star with the Beatles.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay. All right, is there anything else? So I'll start off with the left here. Are we finished with the oak wilt, Pat? We're not, but okay.
I am.
Okay.
Yes, I did forget to mention that on August 29th, the West River Yacht and Cruising Club will be sponsoring a downriver antique cruising boat show at Water's Edge. So put that on your calendars. And if Manchester is the Manchester on North End, is it the north end of the island? Is that the Manchester Trail?
No, Manchester Trail
By the school.
is right across,
right across from the
the
school.
street from the
Okay.
Meridian School.
Okay. Well, I was thinking if I would be willing to take a walk with you on that one day, Pat, and then that'll help me inform at the community rec about this too. So if you can send me a written whatever you write, attach it, send it to me so I've got the facts. I wrote
I'm
things down.
going to try and sit down and write up a report
Okay.
while it's fresh in my head.
Okay, and send that to me because I was taking notes, but
Okay.
whether or not I'll get it accurate, I would like to have your words instead. Thanks.
Okay, Darrell, do you have anything?
Yeah, Pat, I'd like to get familiar with your markers, that you put on the trees.
Oh, sure. We're going to be we can put the other markers up. I got, for the other trees also.
Okay, and then
But I
also,
specifically bought a lot of red oaks, except we can't use them right now until this whole thing
and maybe you
settles
can
down.
come over to my woods and we can look.
For red oak.
Okay.
I'll bring my bark sample and
Yeah,
my...
bring your bark sample.
I'll bring
and
my cheaters
we'll
is
look
what
and
I'll
see
do.
if there's anything
Yeah.
there.
Okay. I have nothing. The only thing of it is that I will keep you informed via email of any progress that's being made on getting the quotations back, so that we can, select a source. And hopefully by the next meeting, we'll be able to sit down and recommend to the township board contractor for the Manchester Trails. Pat, anything else?
No, I'm done.
Woody? Wally?
Yes. You have a forestry trailer probably going to be here. You got an issue that's important to a lot of people about oak tree wilt. And you've got an opportunity on August 22nd to make that presentation. Have a thought about perhaps a one-page flyer about oak wilt, or plagiarizing from someplace else and using that, or I don't know, what do you plan on being, what do you plan to do on August 22nd as a commission?
So far, I'm going to be working with the volunteers, and they're going to be pulling together specific, now that they've been here for a day, exhibits and displays that will help people identify the trees on the island and how to maintain them. We're going to, I think, have our booklets there for distribution. You want me, if I can pull together the scrapbook, have the scrapbook there?
I think a one
I
page.
can't guarantee it, but I'll try.
I think
and,
one page flyer I think would be an excellent idea. Just capsulize it so that you can talk to them, but you show them something, and then they'll take it home and they'll remember it much better.
And I'd like to have at least one member of our committee there to support the volunteers. But I haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay, when you're ready, let me know.
Okay.
Imagine you'll have more than one.
I hope so.
We will.
I think it's going to be a good deal.
Be the chief weenie cooking hot dogs.
Okay.
I like mine burnt.
Me too.
Not a problem. You don't want it wilted.
Woody, anything else from you? Okay. Not? Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, can I interrupt?
Sure.
Just on your idea for the 22nd, we could piece 2 or 3 videos together and your instructions on the red oak, and you could have a computer and a monitor there, and people come. We used to do that with the black tie event over there at Yak. We put videos together supporting Girl Seal, and people could stand there and watch them. So
Great.
I offer that. No, I was going to come here and ask you a favor. I have in mind, I want to do a project, and I've been asking around, and I think I talked to Pat about this. I have been told that within the last year, some big historic old tree was cut down. 350 years old, I was told. And I don't know where it is or identify it, but here's the idea. I would like to work with an Eagle Scout and do a documentary. I'd like to take a nice 2-3 inch slab of the remaining stump of this tree and get it polished and preserved and sealed and everything, and then have the scout do this and document all his actions. And then I'd like to go back and count the history of Grosse Hill on the rings of the trees and display it down here in the museum or the historic museum. GITV's interest would be doing a documentary on the project and showing the history, and I think it would make a wonderful historic piece here in the museum. What I don't know is where the tree is, who to get permission from, so I'm coming to you and see if you guys knew anything about it.
I do.
I don't imagine it would cost a lot of money to do it, but I think it would make an excellent project for an Eagle Scout project, and I think in the long term it'd be an interesting piece for the history of Grosse Hill.
That stump of the tree is someplace, is that correct?
Somebody told me 3rd, 4th, 5th Street, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I have 3 sources I've located for you.
Okay.
I can either call them and ask them if they've got it, or I can just give you their names. What's your pleasure?
I don't want to step on anybody's toes. You guys know.
Stepping on our toes.
I mean, I can call. I can do the legwork.
Well,
but,
then I'll send you the 3 names tomorrow.
Okay. And what I want to do is just take a nice, probably 2 or 3 inch cut across the top of the stump and preserve that. And I've seen it in other museums that I've worked with, and basically you can start on the outer limb and just put the history of Grosse Hill, back 100 years, all the way back to Cadillac, and go ahead.
When you're done.
I'm fine.
The lady who knows where the tree is at, her name is Frucci.
I
Pam?
talked to her last
and
week.
she shares that knowledge with a lady by the name of Urbani, right, Bert. I know that both of them know where that's at.
Okay, so
I've seen some documents that they've written about. The Greenways Open Space is, of course, interested in trees, but Nature Conservancy is also. And Nature Conservancy is doing a Champion Trees project, and you might tie into all of us.
well, we went there's a tree right down across from the country club, Elmar, I think it is, a big, huge tree. We went over there and did some taping on how to measure trees, and worked with the family there. We're working on editing that right now. So, and we've put the information up on the community bulletin board about measuring old trees and stuff like that. So, anyway, that's what I was hoping to find out. And without the newspaper abuse us. I mean, we can put any video on YouTube. I sent the video. Walk in the Woods on Facebook last week, and it's got a lot of hits, and I'm going to keep clip apprised how many hits it gets. So right now you can get to it off the our webpage, go to YouTube, or I sent it out yesterday on Facebook. So, and it's been running the last 3 weeks after meetings and after concerts and stuff like that. So it's been getting a lot.
Now, you weren't in here, but I did give you and Megan kudos.
Well, I have speakers there. I
you
sneak
heard
in
what
and
we
try
were
to
saying.
hear.
Okay.
I try to hear all the bad stuff.
What happened? Why didn't we get on? What happened to the TV tonight?
Computer needed to be rebooted. You're on. You were on. You just missed the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, so we were on.
Yeah,
even
you're
though the light wasn't on.
Well, you guys started before where we were still.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
You're on. But anyway, any information you want up, get it to me. It'll go up. And if you want to work on the 22nd, and can we get electricity there?
On the 22nd?
Yeah.
There's electricity at the Commons.
Because basically, if you want to do something on this Red Oak, we can tape it, put it on a file on a computer, and just run it over and over again.
Will you have coverage of the 22nd? I know Patty was running it last year.
Yeah, I'll have somebody there, probably Megan. But,
Great.
Good.
all right,
Okay.
thank you.
Cliff, I have one more thing I want.
Yeah.
What is the tree disease that took all the trees on the island?
Emerald ash borer.
The ash borer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I recently drove up to Bad Axe on the shore, and of course the trees are just marvelous as you're driving up. And I no more than finished thinking somebody really needs to thin these in terms of all the houses that are there and blah, blah, blah. No more than finished that, and I was maybe 10 miles out of Harbor Beach, which is where I was going, and all of a sudden, totally dead forest, totally with the borer disease. When it really hit me, there's a campgrounds up there called Wagner Park, and you could never see the trailers in there. That's all you could see were the trailers. Just awful from there all the way to Harbor Beach. And there were all kinds of things about not taking your wood north. Well, somebody took it north, and so I'm just totally supporting this red oak thing, that we've got to make sure that all those things happen, because it was,
Very good.
I mean, hundreds of, it was just, it was devastating to me. I was just shocked.
The corollary to that is that over the course of hundreds and thousands and even millions of years, this earth changes a lot. And what is a great year for elm trees 50 years ago, and all of a sudden they're all dead. And Dutch elm disease took away a lot of elm trees. Emerald ash borer took away a lot of ash trees, and I'm afraid we're going to lose some oak trees. But if you want to see some beautiful trees that didn't get affected, go to Princeton University. Look at the Princeton elms there. And those elms were resistant to the Dutch elm disease and have been propagated and are now being replanted, and they're not being affected by Dutch elm disease. So, this DNR crew we've got is a good bunch. The forestry people from U.S. Forestry Service, another good bunch. They're going to beat this. But, realize that northern Michigan was full of big pine trees. You know what took those out? People like you and me, chopping them down.
Right.
So it's all what we do.
Well, and then there are always the fires. That's one of my childhood memories, is listening to the radio recount of the big fires in the Thumb in the late 1800s, where people gathered in the courthouse to not be burned, because of the fires.
Up around Gaylord, there is a tremendous number of stumps that still have evidence of burning, and there's stumps that are 8 foot in diameter.
Ash borer on my property.
Yeah.
Those solid trees.
Okay.
I made a motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
I have several friends who